So dwi'n gweithio i Pontio y ganolfan celfyddydau ac arloesi sy'n cael ei adeiladu ym Mangor yn rhan o'r Brifysgol ac ar fi'n agor mis Medi eleni i fod. Mae yna 5 peth sy'n ganolog i waith Pontio, ddau'n eitha amlwg o ran celfyddydau ac arloesi, ond hefyd mae yna adfywio sgiliau ac yn bwysicach y cymuned yna hefyd. Yn y prosiect dwi'n neud, dwi'n trio cadw'r 5 peth yna mewn co a trio neud siŵr bod beth ni'n neud yn cyfrannu at y darlun mawr. Dwi'n gweithio'r prosiect gyda bobl ifanc i datblygu rhaglen i cyfnogi datblygiad sgiliau nhw. A jyst i roi cefndir o lle mae'r rhaglen yna wedi dod. Mae'r prosiect Pontio wedi bod yn catalyst i ffordd newydd o weithio o fewn y Brifysgol. Mae hwnna wedi meithrin lot o prosiectau gwahanol ar gyfer myfyrwyr, un ohonyn nhw'n benodol o'r enw Enterprise by Design. A be mae Enterprise by Design yn neud yw dod â myfyrwyr o gwahanol disgyblaethau at ei gilydd. So mae myfyrwyr seicoleg, cyfrifiaduron, product design a busnes. A mae cwmni lleol yn gosod her neu brief i datblygu cynnyrch newydd. A wedyn mae yna tîmoedd amoddysgu gwledig dros cyfnod o 12 wythnos yn gweithio ar y prosiect yna, a maen nhw'n dysgu trwy brofiad. Maen nhw'n edrych ar y cynllun busnes, maen nhw'n edrych ar y marchnata, edrych ar yr IP, pob peth sy'n dod yn rhan o dylunio cynnyrch. A mae hwnna wedi bod yn prosiect sydd wedi mynd o nerth i nerth, a myfyrwyr sydd wedi bod yn rhan o fe yn gweud bod nhw'n wedi datblygu lot o sgiliau meddwl o ran gyfathrebu, gweithio gyda gilydd, dysgu wrth ei gilydd, pethau fel yna. So dyna lle dyn ni'n dod mewn. Oedd Edmi Ffib gyda diddordeb yn y prosiect yna a wedi gweud, wel, sut allwch chi gymryd y methodoleg o ddysgu drwy brofiad a cyd-ddylunio a defnyddio'r methodoleg yna lles bobl ifanc lleol. So, dwi'n mynd i switcho'r system nawr i gael esbonio'r darn yna. So, we were talking about the methodology of co-design and experiential learning across the university project and how we could take that and transfer it to the community. What I realised is that the co-design actually, what that meant in a community context was co-production, and I don't want to go into the semantics of what the difference is, but that's what it started to look like, and we wanted to put that across the project. And not just in the workshops, we wanted the co-production to be all throughout. And I don't think, we're not talking as experts, we're not even talking from experience, we're talking now from actually trying to do it and grappling with it and warts and all. So we started by bringing together a development group who was made up of private, third sector and public sector organisations in the mix. And they helped us to steer the mapping process of where what we had to offer could fit in and where it could add value. And that's been supported by a wider pool of people that have got interest in the project who've fed in different ways. And we've tried to keep the sort of roots between the core steering group and the wider group open so people can go back and forth as it comes relevant to them. And what they really said is, well, you need to get young people involved right from the beginning now in shaping this. So we got going on a pilot project as soon as possible, working with a group of sixth formers to develop a programme that would help them become better prepared when they're moving on from sixth form into higher education or into employment, wherever they need to go. So we had a rough idea of the sort of project that we wanted to offer, so they set a challenge and they'd work through a series of workshops and learn as they were doing along the way. But we wanted to make it relevant to them. And we all know that we should just ask, well, what do you need, how is it going to fit? But you kind of get met in reality with just sort of shrug shoulders. So what we did is we said, right, well, we'll show you what we've got to offer, and we did some taster workshops. And they worked really well in terms of, breaking through the ice, getting to know each other, finding out a bit more about what they were about and what we were about. But still they were saying, yeah, but how is this relevant to us? So what we tried to do then was put it into context for them. And we did that by sort of saying, well, where are you now? Where do you want to be? map the timeline, put in the important things of exams, university, the UCAS, driving test, all the things that you need to do in the next sort of 2 to 3 years. And they started putting in what was going to help them and what was going to, what the barriers were. And then what they started doing was saying, well, what we did in that taster session, that fits in here. And it was starting to make sense to them what the project we had to offer and how it fitted into what they wanted to do. And we keep coming back to that all the time. So as we're doing things, they're sort of mentally slotting them into their timeline. Then the next thing to do was to come up with what the actual project was that they wanted to do. And that worked by, we just got newspapers and asked them to go through and pull out stories that resonated with them. And what was coming out were things like environment, health, language, were the things that were really important to this group. And then they chose their stories and pitched them to each other and said why I think this is a really important issue to take forward. And what came out was healthy living. And I'll let them tell you a little bit what they wanted to do with that.
Has no sports activities available to us. So as a group we hope to create opportunities for us to take part in sports and to lead a healthy lifestyle.
I think there should be an allocated time slot in the week where possibly everybody in sixth form has a free lesson, and we should be allowed to go out and do some form of sport or exercise, either at the leisure centre or on the astroturf or even on the field, anywhere. I think that would be a really good idea, because rather than all being sat in the common room, we could be out and staying active and having fun doing sports as well.
We've all got different interests. I believe that Kaylee is more about having fun, the fun side of it, and more of the how sixth formers are emotionally affected. Because I believe that sixth formers feel body conscious and that they don't want to go to the gym and then they eat less. So for me, I like learning about the emotional side of it, and also that will help me with my counselling numbers.
So basically,
We have sixth form has no sport.
how do I go? So basically, when sixth form, the PE isn't on timetable anymore, so they've noticed that as an issue that they want to tackle. And this is where we're at the moment, but you'll see that they've already started thinking about what their role is within the project. So some of them want to actually do the activity, put something together, get something happening. And the others are more interested in, well, why aren't we doing it anyway? What's the motivation? And then you see that Cara was seeing how that fitted in with the fact that she wants to be a counsellor. So they're starting to make the links. The other thing that's interesting is, at the beginning it was very much, well, we're not allowed, we can't do this, this isn't happening. It was all about stopping what we can't do. And what's really happened over the weeks is they've started saying, well, why don't we do this, we can do that. And it's they've got a lot more sort of positive about the way ahead. The important bit that I missed out, and why Jake is standing here, is who's being involved in the group in the school. So we've got the 5 young people, we've got 2 undergraduate facilitators, 1 graduate facilitator, and now a lead facilitator, Chris Walker, who was involved in Enterprise by Design. And the students from the university, they bring a lot in terms of they've got their own personal sort of skill set from their subject, but also their experience. They're only a couple of years forward from these young people, and they've had to think about the same things. So there's some real sort of learning going on both ways there, and that's what Jake's going to say a little bit more about.
Okay, good morning. My name is Jake Costello, and I'm a second year undergraduate clinical psychology student at Bangor University, and I'm helping to develop the student role in the Pontio community project. So primarily I wanted to get involved in this because it's a fantastic way of gaining work experience with young people, which isn't just kind of a I'm in a school sort of thing. It's something really special and different to put on your CV. But it's about far much more than just CVs and things like that. By taking part in the project, we're engaging in kind of really relevant contemporary issues in education that these students are facing. But the important bit is that I was facing them 3 years ago when I was applying to university. So they've got a real asset there in that I can answer any of their questions, and it's really helpful, insightful advice because it happened to me just a few years ago. So I can really give them some helpful advice that will be able to kind of benefit their university applications. So we're tackling these issues head on by developing their professional and academic skills, so things like learning, designing, creating, exploring. And in turn, they're not just the ones that are learning. I'm learning more about myself, and I'm learning how to communicate with young people and actually trying to learn a bit of Welsh from them as well, which is always helpful. Probably most importantly, this project is fantastic in that it's building bridges between Pontio and the community and the university, which is obviously good because it means that the community can use the fantastic facilities that we have at Bangor University. So I hope as well that you will find it a fantastic, interesting, exciting project that will be building bridges between Pontio, Bangor University and the North Wales community.
Way better than putting this together.